It's John, and let's talk about the March Madness bracket. I know a lot of people were asking me to cover it. I'm hoping the third time is a charm. I did it twice with a headset, and I don't know. The first time the aux wasn't plugged in, I, like an idiot, plugged in the charger, thinking it was the aux. The second time I did plug the aux, it didn't work. I don't know why, so I'm just doing it without the headset. It works just as fine, to be honest. I just figured there was no issue, and then there was. Anyway, I'm going to go through it pretty quickly because, again, I went through it twice already. I kind of know who I like. I looked at the lines, and I just wanted to get it out. So, a lot of people were asking about the bracket. Also, the reason I haven't been able to really post as far as, the last couple days, my phone got completely wiped. I have no idea how. It was like an overnight thing where I woke up and it was all reset, which really sucks because it was like my Google accounts, my YouTube account, which is all linked, and for me, more importantly, my pictures of my dog took me, like, I'm starting to get them back. They're all associated through the account, and he's dead. So videos of him, all this stuff that I'd rather lose every penny I have than lose those. So luckily, I'm getting that back, but just downloading all the apps. My crypto wallets, I'm locked out of a couple of them, so kind of a real pain. Hoping I didn't lose the crypto. I think I'll be good, just because I took a lot of precautions. But anyway, not to complain, but that's just the reason I haven't really been in the Discord. I still posted last night on the Patreon because I'm always going to find a way to at least get our picks out there. And I'm gonna right after this, I'll be posting all of our plays for tomorrow, the lines, the unit amounts, all that. So for everyone that's been jumping aboard, I greatly appreciate it. It means a lot. It helps, and I'll put that out right after this. I'm putting this out now because I tried it twice already, and we have some games in play. For the all the picks we did yesterday on Patreon. So I always do our recap when we have an idea of how we finished for the day. So anyway, right off the bat, so I'm gonna go through this. I saw this and I kind of took a double take, and it was because I was like, is this last year's bracket? Because I just noticed UConn, FAU, San Diego State. Kind of interesting that you have these three teams, well, matched up. So, yeah, I think we're going to get some kind of grudge here. Where, if you remember, it was, I think FAU played San Diego State, and then San Diego State, if I'm not mistaken, lost to UConn in the championship. So, I think the three of them get back. Auburn's definitely advancing. I just don't think Yale's going to be the upset. Nor do I think Duquesne will. They're kind of a boring team. Over under suggests there's going to be a lot of scoring. Duquesne doesn't do a lot of scoring, so just crunching the math, I feel like BYU gets that. Illinois, you need some big dogs in here. I like Drake here. I think, technically, I think they're a favorite. I think some would consider it an upset, and I think they just make sense more than Washington State and Iowa State. And I'm going kind of fast because I did this twice, so I know exactly who I like, why I like them. But I'm going to do my best to explain. And again, for anyone that wants spreads, lines, not to plug, it's just the way I just do it this way because everyone that's tailing the system, I post every single night. So I'll have all the spreads for these matchups. For example, Michigan State is one of them. Drake's another, where there's certain lines, Duquesne with the over-under, that I really like the plays. So they'll all be posted on that on tonight, just like I do every night. But a lot of people requested the bracket, so I wanted to do a bracket. So anyway, we got Unks advancing. They're not going to get upset. I think we will have some upsets. I just don't think it's going to be anything crazy or anything that's, too ridiculous. I think we're still going to have most of our top dogs in here. So as far as the upsets go, that's why you'll see I have a couple. And again, they're not crazy upsets, but I have them. I think Michigan State makes more sense, to be honest. I don't know why. They just seem like a grittier team. The fan base just seems more energetic, and I think that's what you need in this tournament. Seeing a lot of talk about St. Mary's, so I'm wondering how deep they can make a run. I think they'll make a pretty deep run. I think they'll definitely knock off Grand Canyon. I like Alabama here to win. I like Clemson. I like the Lobos. They play at a very interesting pace. They play with energy. I just don't think they're going to knock out Clemson. They could, of course. Again, we're going to get some upsets, but I think Clemson takes this one. Baylor, I think Clemson Baylor is a good matchup. I think Dayton's going to beat Nevada. They're just one of those schools that I think will fly under the radar, kind of like Drake. And Long Beach, I don't think they're going to be the upset. I think Arizona's going to get that. Off to the south, Houston, same deal. I think Longwood, I think it is. I don't think they're going to upset Houston. I think some teams you might get upsets, just not this early on or this crazy of upsets. Actually, I thought St. Joe's was going to upset. I didn't officially pick it, but I had a feeling St. Joe's, because of their vibe, might upset who they just played. Trying to think they just played. They lost by 3 points. If you give me a second, I'll think of it. They're a pretty good team. It wasn't VCU. They just beat VCU. They just played someone, and I'm trying to think who it was. And I just had a feeling they were going to get the upset, but they didn't. They wound up losing 75-72. So I guess it's good I didn't make it an official pick. And it's on the tip of my... Oh, yeah, Seton Hall. It was Seton Hall. I was starting to think. I was thinking of Jersey and stuff. All right, so anyway, yeah, I think I thought St. Joe's had a shot, but they didn't do it. I like Texas A&M over Nebraska because Battle of Texas. I don't know. I just think it makes sense. We got Wisconsin. I think James Madison's just known for being in season. They always have a pretty good record, but then they don't do much in the tournaments. Duke, I think you got to advance them. Vermont's way too boring. NC State's interesting. And then we got Texas Tech. You know, this one's a tough one, a very 50-50 one. I do think it'll go to NC State. They can call it an upset, and you have the possibility of them matching up with Duke, which, again, I'm not saying we're going to get all in-state rivalries, but we might get a couple. I think Kentucky beats Oakland. I don't think Oakland's going to be the one. I like play-in, and here's some alpha. Okay, they have Colorado. I swear, I did this video 30 minutes ago, and I went into this. It is pretty funny. The way it's positioned really doesn't, like, they don't have a position like Boise and or Colorado. Like, Colorado's just off to the side. I feel like they're giving some stuff away. I feel like it's going to be Boise that wins tonight. Right now they're still playing, but either way, I think play-in, whether it's Boise or Colorado State, beats Florida. Kind of like the Miami Heat kind of deal, where, you know, they went far as a play-in. I think we're going to get the same deal here with play-in. I think it's going to be Boise because it feels like they're giving some stuff away. I could be wrong, but I swear last time I didn't even see that Buffalo. And Grambling's not getting it done. I don't think so, at least. I like TCU. I think a couple Texas teams will get in there over Utah State. I like Zaga, McNeese. I don't think they're going to advance. Samford, I think they cover, and that'll be one I go into tonight. I just don't think they're going to win. A lot of public's on Samford. From what I'm seeing. I like South Carolina. I think they're a gritty team. Now here I love Creighton because people were posting all about Akron and how they think they can win, and ESPN Bet put out how a lot of people loving Akron. Now that could be to throw people off. I don't know. I just don't think Akron's going to win. They might cover. They'll probably make it close because they know people have money on them. But I think at the end of the day, Creighton's going to win the game. Texas, I think they knock off Colorado State. And I like Tennessee. St. Petersburg, it could get the upset, but I think there's going to be another Saints team that gets the upset, to be honest. So let's move back to the East. And that's, okay, so now we got UConn, FAU. So, again, FAU, this would be a rematch, you know, I believe. Or was it UConn, San Diego State? I can't remember. Either way, I think UConn is going to advance. They're the champs. They're the reigning champs. You got to have them move on. And now I think we would get our rematch from last year. I think that'd be very interesting. So I love UConn, San Diego State. BYU, Illinois. I'm going to go with Illinois. I think they get it done. And I like Drake. I think Drake gets the upset. I think they're going to be one of the teams that gets an upset. I don't see Iowa State doing too much. So I think Drake could be the spot. And I think in North Carolina again. And a lot might not call this an upset, but I think St. Mary's is going to beat Alabama. They are the lower seed, so it's technically an upset. I'm not sure what the lines would be. But Bama's been good this year, so I think St. Mary's has a good shot of making a little bit of a run, so I like them. And then we got Clemson, Baylor. I think Baylor wins. They've looked pretty strong this year. And I just think they have a lot planned for them. And Dayton could get it done, but I like Arizona. They're a team that I do like. Moving on to the South, Houston. Again, you got to keep some of the big dogs in it. You can't knock them out early. Not that some can't get knocked out. I just don't think many will. And then we got Duke and Wisconsin. And this could be what we were getting upset, but I'm gonna go with Duke here. I think we get Duke in Houston, and then I think Kentucky's gonna move on, mostly because of Calipari. And here's the interesting one. We could get Marquette or we could get Play-in making a run. And again, I just have a feeling because the Heat did it, they want to establish you never give up. I really could see the Play-in making a run. I don't know why. So I'm going to go with Play-in instead of Marquette. Marquette would be a great matchup. It's probably what we get. But I'm going to go with Play-in, probably Boise State. But I think that's what we get. I think we get Kentucky playing the Play-in. And then we got Purdue. I think they're going to advance over TCU. I got Kansas advancing. Purdue, Kansas is a nice matchup. I think they're going to go pretty far. They've been kind of under the radar. And then I do think Creighton will finish it out against South Carolina. And of Texas and Tennessee, I actually like Texas. I don't know why. I just feel like, again, you need some higher seeds and some lower seeds. I don't think it's going to be all ones and twos advancing. So that's just what I think we get. Again, it might not be a perfect bracket. I'm just trying to go over matchups, who I think makes sense, and basically the teams that I think are going to be relevant. I think UConn's going to beat San Diego. You could get, the redemption, but I don't think there's much to San Diego outside of the fact that they were there last year. Not a very memorable. And again, UConn, they've been doing it with every team. Lightning repeat. Georgia, even if they're not winning the second time around, they're getting far. They did it with the Astros. They did it with I don't know if I said the Chiefs, but Bulldogs. They've just been doing it with like almost every sport. So I think UConn does it. And then we get Illinois Drake. And here's where I think Drake loses. I think we get UConn and Illinois for a nice little matchup there. Then we got UNC St. Mary's, and I think this is where St. Mary's dream comes to an end. I think North Carolina gets it done in a close game. And Baylor, Arizona, that'll be a close one. I'm going to go with Arizona. I think them in North Carolina makes sense. And I just feel like, again, Arizona, like some other teams, flying under the radar. With Houston Duke, I do think we're going to get. See, I feel like there's a couple teams like your storied franchises. I don't think they're all going to advance. I'm going to take Houston. They're the 1 seed. They're the kind of the team to beat. That's not UConn, so I like them to advance. And I think Kentucky wins. I think this is where the play-ins story comes to a bittersweet end. And then we move to the Midwest, Purdue, Kansas. I like Kansas. Like I said, I think some of the storied teams move on. I like Kansas and Kentucky. Maybe it's going to be Duke and and then Duke and Kentucky. It could be a lot of different deals, but that's just what I like. I think Duke's going to get booted, and I like Creighton. I like Kansas and Creighton. I think that's a good matchup. So now we're picking for the Final Four, and I got UConn, Illinois. I got UConn. Again, they're the team to beat. You got to get them back to the Final Four. So I got UConn representing the East. I got Arizona representing the West. I think UNC gets knocked off here. Again, I don't think it's going to be UNC, Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, like the teams. Even though they're kind of where they were years ago, they had a couple years where they weren't them, as people say, but they're getting. I feel like now they are. I don't think all four are going to do it. I think maybe 2 or 3 make the Final Four. Out of the South, speaking of, I got Kentucky upsetting Houston. So we got Kentucky representing the South, and then for the Midwest, I got Kansas representing there. So that's going to leave us with our Final Four. And Kentucky, Kansas. I'm going to give it to Kentucky because of Calipari. I just think they make sense because of that reason. And I think they have a little more to offer. And I think they're going to play Arizona. And the reason I think they're going to play and ultimately lose to Arizona is because last year UConn had a trend. And this is what I post on the Patreons and the Buy Me Every Night. And it's for a reason. I go into the spreads, who's good against the spreads, who sucks against the spreads, and we fade the ones that are good. We take the ones who suck. And Arizona's following the same trajectory as UConn. Last year, UConn was 11-0 against the spread. Best team to start the year. And we started fading them, and it started coming through. They didn't even finish in the top 10 against the spread. They just started not covering. And Arizona did that this year. They started off as the best team against the spread, like 10, 11 games into the year. They only had like 1 or 2 losses against it, and then they went on a downward non-cover spree. So I know it's a goofy reason, but I think a lot of money's going to be on UConn. And I don't think Arizona's this giant liability. I feel like they're just in that right sweet spot where they're probably not going to get hammered. Of course, there's going to be money on them. There's going to be money on everybody. But I think they're a good fly under the radar team. And it's also interesting because we would get the Dogs versus the Cats with the Huskies versus the Wildcats. And then we'd have the Wildcats versus the Wildcats. So I find that pretty interesting too. So yeah, I think this is what we get. Again, you look at some of these UConn, FAU, San Diego State, pretty interesting. Then you kind of fill it out with teams that just make sense. I think Drake makes sense as the upset. I think they gave it away with Boise. I'm not gonna lie, just because. Again, I find it interesting, like the way they have this outlet. Like it just looks like maybe it's to throw people off. I don't know, but they're really just like they got Colorado just kind of chilling here, and they got Boise as like the established team. Again, I don't remember. Maybe it's because they blended in. I don't remember seeing Colorado State when I did this video the first two times, so I don't know. But it just seems to me maybe like a little bit of a hint. So I think they could definitely knock off Florida. Either play in, to be honest, would make sense because of, again, the Heat narrative that I went into. And then Houston, Kentucky would be good, obviously. And yeah, I think this makes sense. Purdue, you're not knocking them out. And you see, we get some pretty good matchups. You know, you get some matchups where we got Texas going up against each other. We got NC, I think you could get NC State and Duke. I don't think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get Kentucky and Houston. But you can get a lot of different, matchups. But this is what I think we wind up getting, where there's a lot of teases, but a lot of rivalries, and you have realistic teams winning, but you have a couple that go further than they probably should, like Drake, St. Mary's, maybe, stuff like that. And yeah, I think Arizona is a good pick. I've liked them since I noticed the trend with UConn. So I'm curious what you guys think. Like I said, I did this twice already, and this time I know it'll be good because whenever I don't use my headset, there's no problems. But I wanted to basically cover exactly just who I like in each spot. I think this is a good Final Four, and I think Arizona is a team that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that's basically it. I'll have an NBA video out pretty soon, and we'll go into all that. I'll be going into the playoffs that are to come and just how I think they're going to fare. We're pretty close there. Actually, if you watch my NBA playoffs video, I am my most recent one. It was a couple weeks ago. I'd say on the West side we nailed it because I said Lakers, Warriors, 9-10, easy. I told people to take it as an exact prop, and a lot of people didn't think that was going to be the case, but now it's looking like it will. And then when I put out in the same video, we're going to get Suns and Mavs as the 7 and 8. There was a bunch of people saying, nah. The Suns are not going to be a play-in. It's going to be the Kings. The Suns don't make sense. And even though it's only like half a game, I think we're going to get it. I really do. On the East side, it can't be more boring and uninspiring. With the boring Hawks and the boring Bulls already planned in, we know they're going to get booted. But I went into a lot of stuff there. I went into how I think the Knicks are going to wind up not getting a play-in. It'll probably be the Magic, just because they're boring. I could be wrong, but we'll see what happens there. And yeah, I just think we're going to get some very interesting matchups, but specifically out of the West. But I'll be going into the NBA. We'll do some live videos, and I'll be going into, once they have the official brackets, of course. I gave my rivalries, at some point we're going to get the Doc versus the Nurse, right? We're going to get, in my opinion, the Sixers versus the Bucks. And then a good chance we get Bucks Celtics, I think, too. It just makes sense to me. So, Doc playing his old teams. So very interesting if you look at it all. That video, I did a couple ones, and they haven't changed too much, to be honest. But yeah, that's where I go into Clippers, Celtics, and why I like them. So if you want to check that video out, again, it's my last NBA playoffs video. But I'll be putting out more going forward. I just wanted to cover this. And like I said, if you want to find like exact spreads, I wouldn't, I'm not one to boast, but I did, almost every night we were doing our picks on YouTube for my system, and we were up hundreds of units it was about 2 years of proven profit before I launched the memberships. And I thank everyone that's been jumping over because it really does help. It makes it a lot easier, especially when we're dealing with obstacles and stuff. And what I can say is, since we started on December 4th, we're up about 110 units. I haven't calculated all of today's games. I haven't seen. I saw the tennis matchups. I saw we missed the Heat. I think got the Celtics. I don't know. It was a little early to call, so we might not have got them. But there's still like 3 in play. We have a couple still in play. So I don't know exactly how we finished today, but 10 of the last 11 weeks have been profit. And again, we're up around 110 units since I started on December 4th. And even of the 10 of 11 weeks that we profited, the only non-profitable week was minus 4.4 units. So the system really does work. So that's one thing I'm proud of. The people that are coming over, they're actually, you're getting utility, which I appreciate. I'm happy that you're not coming over and bad things are happening. People are coming over, and I appreciate all the messages, the support, the people that are grateful. I'm just as grateful. Again, without you guys, I'm just an idiot talking to myself. And to Marco, to Creaky Joints, Swag, and like Chris always sending me analytics showing me, hey, your return rate on the NBA is here, and your return rate on college is here. And then I amend it because it's like, oh wow, I didn't realize I was doing so good, on the NBA. Let's do more NBA picks. We got a 10% return rate, or tennis is at like 20%. I think it dropped a little bit, but yeah, it's good to see. And he also pointed out how bad we were doing with hockey. So the first couple weeks we were playing hockey, we were in the negative. I just stopped playing hockey, and we quickly climbed right out of the hole, well into the positive. So yeah, I'm hoping with the NBA playoffs we continue to trek forward. I've still yet to see any signs of the system not working, and that's why I do the free trial. Anyone can watch it and see, exactly, every one of my videos who I picked. We do the recap every night, and that's what I'm going to be doing right after this, going into our recap and all of tomorrow's plays for all the sports. But I just wanted to thank everybody, not just on Patreon, but on Discord, on YouTube, that just shows support. That's been helpful, provides insight. I know a lot of people wanted a bracket. I tried twice, and I was almost going to say screw it, but I said, why? I know a lot of people want to see it, and I know it's not some kind of issue I can't fix. It's just I've been trying to get my phone apps back, and at the same time, now my headset's not working, so I'll just do it without the headset. So yeah, I'm curious what you guys think, and hopefully this is pretty close. I'm liking Arizona's odds. I'm not saying drop 10 units on it, but a couple units on them to win the whole thing I think could pay off pretty nice. So take care and happy earnings.